New witnesses have come forwards, breaking their silence as to what happened to Noah Presgrove, and their claims are rather disturbing. But the question is, how true are they? Welcome back to the Noah Presgrove. Warlike Raf here, focusing in on some new comments, claims by people, and as well, today I'll be sharing with you another point of view of an individual that has claimed to have seen the shower video of Noah Presgrove with extra added details. We'll be addressing that first, then transitioning on with the other shocking claims in regard to at a time of a Snapchat a bit later on, around 4, in which Noah was found and the condition he was in, and a drastic change to his attire. And we're going to do a bit of a side-by-side or slideshow comparison today on the theme of that. As for clothing, I've got some experience already with some very detailed analysis, and if you are interested in videos like that previously, if you've missed out on my Kenny Veach videos, they are very important. And back to back, for the first time ever in life, I've done high-end, full-on narration-based videos with high-end edits, back-to-back 2 days locked in. And when I say locked in, really late at night as well, getting it done, editing, getting it out there. So if you've missed out on any of that, if you need a break from other things, you'll be able to find the links available top right corner of the screen where the I symbol is up there, the loose videos. And what also will be attached is the full playlist on the Noah Presgrove case. Welcome if you're currently here to this live premiere. Share your thoughts and opinions, reactions in the live chat on the right side of the screen. And at any point, and for those watching up on catch up, be sure to drop a comment down below underneath and let me know your thoughts. In addition, if you've got any questions, answers, theories, discussions, anything is welcome. It will help generate that growth, the awareness, so then more people can find the video. If you want to hype the video, that'd be appreciated too. If you want to support my channel in general, in the pinned comment section by me, there is a PayPal link and channel membership. The order of how we'll do things today, as said, we look at a shower claim from a witness's point of view, try and compare and contrast to what has been said previously, if it's reliable or not, if there's consistency or not, and then we'll head on to the other shocking claims in regard to the Snapchat, partially linking to Jasmine Milan and supposedly a contradiction to the 341. We're back to that yet again. So without further ado, let's begin. You will be able to find this particular comment on one of my recent videos with the thumbnail of Noah Presgrove and a shower photo stock footage in the background, as previously a new witness had come forward, and this person called Rita had said, I saw the same thing with Noah Presgrove laying in the bathtub. So I know she is correct. In the one I saw, he was laying in the tub, semi on his right side, with his legs bent to the right at the knees. He appeared unconscious. At the time, I just scrolled past it because I just didn't want to see him. And it was before all the online drama. So I didn't realize the importance of screenshots and didn't note the time either. He didn't appear injured though. So, interesting. The fact that this witness says he didn't appear injured could imply that Noah Presgrove wasn't dead, as some were suggesting. Because when you look at the autopsy report and those injuries, the deepness, the brutalness of it, regardless of what caused it, some were suggesting that that might have linked to the shower video, the situation there, that the reason why Noah was unconscious, the reason why he was not moving whatsoever and flat out is because he was already dead. But for this person to say those injuries or injuries in general visually weren't present, then likely it's before Noah died and whatever happened to him there. But why would he be unconscious in the bathtub? If you got the side-by-side rollover and Noah's escorted to the bathroom, what ultimately changed? What caused him to suddenly pass out? Was it alcohol? Was it some kind of minor or internal injury which no one knew about or couldn't quite work out at the time? With what the two previous women have stated, one of which saying he was incapacitated, the other one saying he was like flat out and could be interpreted as unconscious. Michael Facecast, from what he was told by someone, suggested unconscious. There seems to be a pattern and a theme that Noah's flat out, check, and unconscious, not moving, check. But whether he was injured or not, some suggest he could have been, and others, like what we saw just today, says there was no sign of injuries. The reason why it's important to check for consistency is, first of all, if you have people independently stating something and they're not influenced by any other people around them, but they all come together naturally and say the same thing, there's more chances of it being correct, but there is truth to it. However, microcosm to what you see within the case, certain partygoers, if details or stories and recollections are brought up, but it's so drastic from one another, different times, out by an hour, certain people mentioned, other people excluded, vice versa, and it's all over the place. How can you check for that reliability? How can you check for that consistency and frequency when it's just not there? It lacks the foundations in being able to believe in it. And there needs to be a level of belief and trust. And in a case community like this, there can be trust issues. And that's just what happens in life anyway. I've seen it previously. Now, all these different individuals and accounts that have come up in recent time, but others were in the past as well. Different people. If it's at different times spread out, it's not quite like a bandwagon, as in where one person speaks up and then everybody else just follows for the sake of it, for the trend. If it's spread out and people aren't influenced or around the same individuals that have spoken up in the first place, there might be more truth. But for one to say Noah wasn't injured and then for the others not to give much detail about that, or maybe it could be interpreted as they were suggesting Noah was injured or dead. People's general interpretations can be very specific and unique to their eyes and perception. They may not see eye to eye on the same level as somebody else's perception with was Noah dead or alive in that moment. You know, two people could see Noah unconscious, not moving. One person thinks he's dead, the other one thinks he's probably alive, just drunk, passed out. One person has a more extreme interpretation, outcome, worst case scenario. Another individual has a more rational approach. Now, I think the clearest way to talk about it is, I think out of everybody that has spoken about the shower video and the witnesses that were present to see it, whilst Tim Daniel said he spoke to all 13 of them, I don't know how many exactly, because Andrea Chuprov said lots of people, and 13 isn't lots. And Tim Daniel didn't respond back to that or add on to what Andrea Chuprov was saying. So that's kind of in the air for interpretation and ongoing discussions. But, you know, if you've got Noah Presgrove flat out in the bathtub, the condition of him, just about everyone, what I'm aware of, that's talked about being a witness, hasn't brought up about the autopsy level type of injuries, as in what they visually saw when Noah was in the shower. So those injuries aren't there in that moment, then likely Noah hasn't died yet, been attacked yet, accidentally been injured yet, however you want to interpret it. A side-by-side rollover and then needing a wash makes complete sense if you get all dirty. Some said mud in the past, but it was dry. Well, if it's dry, why would you need a wash? Because it's humid. And if it's humid, you can sweat. And when you get sweaty, it can get sticky. And whilst you're sticky, particles and dust, dirt, sand, and anything else in between can get stuck to your body. It can be a rather uncomfortable experience. And with the time it was and approaching winding down to go to sleep before having a wash makes sense, as for Noah Presgrove. And now it's a bit out there because it's not as important. You don't really hear anything being mentioned about at what time or if partygoers were brushing their teeth. I mean, over the course of days, whilst Noah was there, like Saturday going into Sunday, and they slept there as with other party goers, did they bring their own toothpaste, their own toothbrush, or did they just not bother with that? Just, if you're going to have a wash there, and if other party goers are going to have a wash and take care of their bodies, their hygiene, their cleanliness, are they going to take care of their oral health, which is the mouth, the teeth, flossing, whatever it is? Or do they just not bother? It's just not really come up or being talked about. But yeah, back to Noah Presgrove, the consistency seems to be there, as in Noah flat out in the bath. But let's not forget, there was one individual that said, I saw Noah stood up but slumped, leaning forwards and not flat out. So when you do have an anomaly, it does make you question everything else. The only way of possibly explaining it would be there are several videos or a couple. Now, what we read today, the individual said, well, this previous woman is right. But the comment today, what we're looking at, says in what I saw in the clip or in the video that I saw, kind of implies that they saw it from a different angle or a different timestamp. Even though they don't know the actual timestamp of the video, I mean the timestamp as the playback thing on the bar when you're watching the clip. And this is to do with Snapchat, and this person was on Snapchat, saw it in the early days before the drama. But when you say before the drama, when did the drama kick in? Are you talking 2024 or 2023? Would it align with when other people saw it? Now, this individual commenting in purple said about when they saw Noah, they just scrolled past it because they didn't want to see it. You didn't want to see Noah because you were already aware of the case and you were upset by the news of that. So by seeing Noah, it was like a reminder. You weren't anticipating to see it then. But this person who's commenting, they must be friends with who? One of the party goers, if I'm correct in saying, because how else would you see it? If it's a Snapchat post, and it's shared privately or with select few or followers, friends, you'd have to be on that list. So how close are you to these party goers for you to be able to witness it? Because the other people that were claiming to have witnessed it, a couple had said that they saw it on Facebook. But this particular individual is saying that they saw it on Snapchat, different platform, and from the original place where it was posted, not reposted. So there's a big difference as in who's on the list and who isn't, who's closer to party goers and who isn't. So is there any more details you'd like to add in or about how close you are to certain party goers or people you may be following in order to come across these snaps? Feel free to elaborate down below in the comment section if you want. But I guess the whole, when I saw it, I scrolled past because I didn't want to see it, probably can be implied as it was upsetting, it was a reminder, and because of what happened to Noah, just didn't want to see it at the time because it was upsetting. Okay. Of course, if any screenshots were taken, that would have been very useful, but just didn't happen. And they said that weren't expecting it, other people. I mean, this is the thing, people may be more aware and alert nowadays because of how things can disappear. In the earlier days, when you first get involved, you're not going to expect too much. You'd hope what's posted would remain and what stays up is unedited and whatever, but unexpected twists and turns can happen, and I've noticed that within previous cases, so you've always got to keep an eye out. You never know. But, as for you watching right now, are you surprised or shocked by these witness claims? All I would say is, in regard to some of them, why are they only talking now? I mean, there might be the exception that some of the claims were back in the past when they spoke up, but even if it's not the timing that's the issue, what about the platform that you speak about it on? A public or semi-public platform? I'm going to say semi-public, as in a space online where if you join or request and you're welcomed in, like a gated community, you can see it technically public, if that makes sense. It's not one-on-one private conversation type behavior. So with that being in mind, and all these different people talking about it on Facebook or Reddit or on the YouTube comment section, did they reach out to the victim's family, who is deserving of the truth or deserving of information or tips? Or did these people reach out to police? Or did they think it was a good idea just to talk about it online before they actually report it in officially? Shouldn't it be done the other way around? It makes you wonder. I think when it came to Michael Facekaz and the supposed highway footage of the tampering with the shorts, Michael brought it up, but before he did, he supposedly handed it in to police, some local FBI office. But then comes the question, are the green thumbs up given to be able to talk about it publicly online, or do people not wait? See, when it came to certain Snapchat posts, which I was the first to analyse and show on my channel, at the time never seen before, the reason why it took so long is because beforehand, those phones and devices with the photos on were in the hands of the police. So, you wouldn't have the phone to be able to share it with people. And then when you do get the phone given back, it's that pending process of, will the police give the thumbs up, the LE, to share the videos, the photos, or do whatever with them? And when the thumbs up, the green light was given, that's when they could be shared with me, and that's when I could share them publicly. There was an order to it. Whether you believe in it or not, fair enough, there's an order and there's a process as you would hope and expect, because it is sensitive information details or an important witness report. You'd hope people go about it the correct way, the appropriate route, and reach out to the correct people first and not just spread it open. However, people could say, as a counterpoint, if anyone speaks about it online, publicly and openly, and they don't consider reaching out to the victim's family or the police, then it must mean that they're fake, full of hot air, attention seekers, spreading misinformation or more so disinformation and trying to cause confusion, diversion tactics and divide and conquer within the community. It's understandable why people would think that outlook, but let me tell you something. Let's not forget Caden Pressey. What Caden Pressey's attitude was with his phone at the time. What you're seeing on screen right now is in regard to Caden's phone. Was it handed in to police, yes or no? And from what Caden said, wasn't the case. Despite what Alicia claims that it was, major contradictions there, and that Caden Pressey was not a man of his word because he didn't follow through with what he was going to do and he made a public announcement about it. Beside all that, it will make sense in just a second as to why I'm using it as an example when comparing it with witnesses online talking about what they're doing. But first of all, just to make the reference, this was from one of my past videos in the live chat of my premiere. Caden said at the time, I am currently waiting to get the email with the data from Apple, so once I get it, I will post it. As in, the data from his phone, to some extent in hopes of the timestamp and that showing to back his timeline up. Never came about, which is unfortunate. However, there was another post on Facebook in the past, on the Noah Presgrove Army page. Caden said, what I don't understand is that why my phone is wanted so badly now if the police didn't want my phone. Why do you? If someone buys me another phone, they can have this one along with all of the data on it, all my pictures and everything else. The fact that Caden Pressey, in regard to an important piece of potential evidence at the time, which the victim's family considered as important because even they wanted to be able to see it, that in the background there was a supposed meeting or a suggestion to call round at the Pressey household between Robin Smith and Alicia, but it never followed through successfully. And later Alicia said never happened, but there's like a call or text log which kind of shows a conversation and approval of it being in place. And in addition, with that expired link, which was originally shared digitally, which didn't work, the fact that the victim's family wanted Caden's phone, yet Caden was talking about the situation and willing to give that important piece of evidence away to the first or the highest bidder in buying the phone off of him, shows a certain attitude and an unfortunate approach to it. However, people believe in it and are okay with it. So if people are okay with that, and it's believable, and it's the truth that Caden says, as in the police didn't want his phone or didn't see it of interest, that Caden is willing to give his phone away and it can have the data on it from the timeline of 5:15 supposedly, photos and videos from the party, and anything else in between, anyone can have it without consideration or reserving it for those that need it most, as in the victim's family. The attitude is a little bit off there, you could argue, because it was the victim's family that wanted it, or at least the data to see it themselves. Maybe through the subpoena might be able to get it that way, and if they don't, or if they haven't already, relative at the time, they wanted that in particular, but Caden was willing to give it to anyone and not reserve it for the family. It doesn't look good, right? It's unfortunate. However, the point, what I'm trying to get across, if people haven't ripped their hair out already or tried lashing out at me, is if it's okay what Caden did in terms of how he went about it publicly and it's still believable and the truth, well, then you could say all these witnesses that have come forward on and off at different times independently that consistently talk about the same theme and situation of Noah flat out in the bathtub for most part of it from Facebook or Snapchat, whilst they describe that, in terms of their approach to it, it's sensitive, it's important, right? It shouldn't just be handed out to anyone or everyone. There should be a certain approach. Reach out to the family, reach out to the police first, instead of just sprouting it out there. Do we know that's what they actually did in the background? No, it's open to interpretation. But do we know if Caden Pressey reached out to a key person before doing the post on Facebook publicly? We don't know. So it's open to interpretation, but based off what we can visually see, both Caden Pressey, with, at the time, important piece of evidence, was willing to just give it to anyone without much consideration. That's no different to these witnesses watching a video in the past of Noah in the bathtub and talking about it online, whether that be back then or just now, and more so focused publicly and not privately. At the end of the day, the ideal approach should be, if you've got something or if you've witnessed something, reach out to the right people before you just post it randomly online. Because if it's just posted randomly online, I don't know, I'm not an expert, it may not stand well in court, or it might be rejected, or it could be scrutinised, criticised, and it might devalue the situation. Or you post about it publicly, and then it gives the chance for people in the background, lurkers and dark forces, to see it and try and change the story or try and find a way to counter it, right? You give people a chance to anticipate what other people have on you. If you keep it to yourself and keep it private and build that case privately, then others can't see what's going on, so they can't defend themselves and they can't prepare. So there's a way around it, but as like what Caden did, he did it his way and it was approved and it was fine for most people. So it shouldn't be any different for these witnesses claiming to have seen a video here and there. Of course, the validity of what they say, is it really the truth, or are they just making it up with their own little imagination? It can be hard to tell. With trust issues in these cases and communities, once again, it's open for discussion. People could say, yeah, but the person that commented on your channel, Raf, it could be a fake account, a fake profile. The thing is, normally when a profile is fake, it tends to be like impersonating someone else. If it's a default profile, as in it's a genuine name or a default name with a default profile picture, they just didn't consider editing their account, their profile, or adding videos to their channel, just like with Facebook. Now, Facebook does require human names, even though you've got Casey Smith with an alternative account called Tree Flower, and I wouldn't say that's a human name, but somehow Facebook approved of that, but they won't approve of Warlight Raf. Stupid, if I'll be honest with you. But beside that obstacle, in terms of saying, oh, well, this YouTube comment is a fake account, but, you know, the people on Facebook are real people, you can't do that as a comparison. It's very open once again. A person can have a genuine profile picture with a genuine name, doesn't mean say it's really them. A person can have a default profile picture with a random silly username and it's a real person, but they're not pretending to be someone or another person because they're just who they are in the first place. They've got a profile picture of a tree. They've got a profile picture of the default profile first letter of their name or username. And their username could be of their name, their full name, or it could be of something random which they've generated in their mind. Just a random online username, nothing special, nothing fancy, but maybe for them it's creative or personal to them. It doesn't reveal much about them. They're not giving much away, so they're not really faking much in the first place. They're not trying to be somebody else. Of course, at other times you can get fake accounts where basically it's a person who we're familiar with under an alternative account, pretending to be someone else. That is fake. But you need to get to that stage where you can compare before and after as to who's behind the account and if they do have an alternative or a main account. And if they do have a main account, then they've got an alternative account, and who they are on their main account doesn't translate it to who they are on their alt account. That's a level of fakeness. If you're a YouTuber with a main account and then a second or third channel, you show your face or your voice, or maybe one's a faceless channel, a voiceless channel, and it's narration or it's gaming, and then your main channel is commentary and talking. It might be hard to understand who is who behind the channels, and unless you know or it's been talked about openly. That's not fake though. That's just different channels, different themes and subjects amongst the same person who may not openly talk about that they've got a secondary account or that they are behind a secondary account, but they're just posting content. It also comes down to when it's normally associated with a fake profile or a fake account, it'll normally be associated with maybe a recently created account, a fresh account, a brand new one. That's another measuring stick. Not always the case, but sometimes. And more importantly, when there tends to be a fake account, there seems to be a negative undertone behind it, as in words, criticism, nasty behaviour, and so on, stirring drama, creating trouble. Where there's trouble, where there's darkness or negativity, if it's visible or you can sense it, then maybe there's higher chances of a fake account. How often do you get a fake account being positive? Fake normally can be interpreted as negative. The word fake isn't a positive thing. It's pretty self-explanatory. And what's associated with a negative word can be negative actions or behaviour. When it comes to these people talking about the shower footage and what they believe they saw, is it negative? The theme, what they're talking about could be negative, but just in terms of what they saw, you'd hope to believe that it's the truth, unless some people think that because it's to do with a negative theme, with a negative undertone, high chance of it being a negative account, and the aim behind it all is just to drive a narrative that shower, Noah wasn't in a good place, vulnerable, people about recording, shows a dark side to the friends, lack of respect, and maybe, just maybe, Noah was already dead, so it pushes the idea of murder, or at least pushes the idea of foul play. I tried breaking it down, but some people could genuinely believe that what they saw is what they saw, but they didn't see it as foul play or murder. Like that one anomaly of that woman on Facebook that time in the past that said they remember seeing Noah, but from the back, that angle, and that Noah was slumped forwards, but he was standing up and conscious. But then the rest, the majority, the remainder say he was flat out in the tub. So who's right, who's wrong? But based on different language and wording, it's quite possible that people may have seen different clips of the same event in the same environment on the same day around the same time. Just that some people saw the bit where Noah was flat out, another person saw the bit where Noah was stood up before or after that in a certain order. So whilst at times it might come across as if people are telling different stories and there's not much consistency, it depends what people saw individually compared to one another. If they saw different things, they're going to come out with different descriptions. And at other times when they see the same thing, their perceptions aren't going to be the same way. One will perceive it as death, the other one will perceive it as just drunk, passed out. So it's not always reliable. But I just wanted to throw those factors out there. But this whole publicness of putting it out there, talking about it, it's good. It benefits the general public. It can benefit researchers and whatnot. But for the sake of the case, have these people in general, in cases, within the case, key witnesses, people of interest, friends, and just general public that are external witnesses, do all these people in general, through all different cases out there, consider where they talk about it first? Or do they just think by default it's easier, it's best, it's more effective posting it online public? Some people will have the mentality of, I want to put it out there public so everybody else gets a chance to see it and learn that way. And that's a good thing. But if it harms the case, it needs to be handled appropriately. When it comes to stuff that I can post or things I might come across, I will ask, I'll reach out, I'll double check first just to make sure, because I don't want any trouble my way, my channel, but also don't want any trouble for the case. Sometimes it might be a bit harder, or communication, there might be a breakdown, or you can't reach out to some people, so you don't really get an answer and it's a guessing game, but there's a way about it. And normally, with material and evidence and reports and statements, it eventually, or parts of it, does eventually get released public. So it's not the end of the world. It's understandable the general public would want as much material as possible, but I'm sure people also understand that it needs to come at the right place at the right time. And before that, it can be handled more appropriately elsewhere in the background privately. But has that happened in this case? Kind of hard to tell. So I hope people understand the example comparison between how Caden went about certain things and how he was willing to do this and that public, and the same way as the way witnesses described things, which was quite sensitive and important, public, seems to be the same way. So you should have the same perception of these different individuals. Now, that was important enough, right? But so it gets even more shocking when it comes to a Snapchat video, which was supposedly deleted, and the timestamp was around 4 a.m. How significant is 4 a.m? Well, it's around the time of when people were supposed to go out searching for Noah. Noah walked away at 3:30, give or take about 30 minutes or so, as Caden said in the background in one of his interviews. It's normal for Noah to walk away for 30 minutes. But after 30 minutes, it's not normal. Take in consideration that what Sarah Long said, who wasn't even there, but brought it up to Jasmine on Facebook, November 3rd, 2023, about quoting or bringing it back up to Jasmine on Facebook as in, yeah, well, you know that Noah Presgrove walked away the night before his death, Sunday. Oh. And that the partygoers went out, friends, found him, brought him back to the house. What time frame, what time period, how long was he gone until people felt that he was missing and a search was needed? You could compare that to the 3:31, but we'd need to know the time. Nevertheless, a search was conducted after 3:30, maybe around 4 or just a bit before. But wouldn't that coincide with this supposed deleted snap? And you could say, well, maybe they did find Noah at 4 a.m. or a bit onwards, and he was in a certain way, and he might have been okay, he might have not been. But then what happens after that point? And with the details that have been given, which I'll show you in just a second, the clothing was drastically different too, which makes it hard to believe. First of all, yes, the name and certain things are blanked out, but we've got an uncensored version, which we'll get to shortly. First of all, Janiyah, who recently showed up on Facebook with posts or comments, which is interesting, says Jasmine's private Snapchat at 4 a.m. And we'll read it a few times. First of all here, I saw a snap of them losing him at around 3 a.m. and then finding him laying in the dirt road around 4 a.m. before he died. But the snap was deleted. He was wearing no shirt, blue jeans, no shoes. Now, why is Janiyah saying it's Jasmine's private snap when the comment there, or the witness, doesn't mention anything about Jasmine? Hopefully there might be some more context further on. I believe this was Siobhan or someone that did a repost summarising what's gone on in recent time, because there's been a couple of posts spread about that particular claim of that deleted snap. So summarised, this comment was first shared a few days ago by Janiyah Laurie. It was then taken to Michael Facecast's page. He scratched out the profile picture to the best of his ability. You can still tell it's the same picture, and now he is claiming that Janiyah saw a snap at 4 a.m, and this is her description of what she saw. He's also attributing this snap at 4 a.m. to Jasmine based on what Janiyah said. The problem with this is the comment was originally posted on a podcast by Xavier, whoever that person is. So Janiyah, are you Xavier? Or is Michael just lying again? I'll go with lying. Right. So what, interpreting that Janaya was the witness to it, but Xavier is the one claiming to be the witness. Two different names, could be the same person, but then why do you have different accounts or different usernames? Are you trying to pretend to be somebody else? Or is it two separate individuals? Or is Janaya trying to claim the glory over Xavier for being a witness? Different ways you can look at it. I'm posting his scribbled out version and Janaya's profile showing the same profile pic, along with the original comment showing made by Xavier, also posted Michael's explanation that the person that posted the screenshot of the Xavier comment and included the words Snapchat by Jasmine 4 a.m. Is the person that originally saw this snap. Seems like either Janaya or Xavier are the same person, or Michael's lying. Notice nowhere does Xavier mention Jasmine or the 341 snap. I guess Janaya or Xavier, whoever made this comment, was friends with Jasmine on Snap and was up and on Snapchat 3:41 a.m. and 4 in the morning that morning. Yeah, I mean, to directly quote or reference, this is Jasmine's snap. This links to the 3:41 snap, or there's a contradiction with it, but it's not actually mentioned on paper or so, but it's from their mind of what they've previously seen because they witnessed that too. It's messy already, right? This is the uncensored one. But what's this on? Is this on Facebook? I'm guessing it's on Facebook. Where did it say it came from? Screenshot, version, original comment by Xavier. Was it to do with a podcast? And it was in the comment section of it. Posted on a podcast. Which podcast then? I'm guessing it's a podcast which was posted or shared or a link on Facebook, and then in the comment section, that's when Xavier said, and it says 1 year ago. So if it's that important, 1 year ago, it should have been already handled appropriately. Has the case led to a certain conclusion or leads from this? I don't think so. And we'll just read it originally. I saw a snap of them losing him at around 3 in the morning and finding him laying in the dirt road around 4 in the morning before he died. But the snap was deleted. He was wearing no shirt, but blue jeans, no shoes. But then again, it's so poorly written. It could be a list as to say there was no shirt, no blue jeans, and no shoes. Apologies about this, my throat is so messed up at the moment. Been ill for the last few days. That's why I couldn't do a narration video today. But, you know, when people type, it's such a mess. Are they typing it as a list? Are they typing it as, well, this wasn't there, that was missing, but this was present, and that was present. However, the other thing wasn't. Okay, I would interpret it as he was wearing no shirt, wearing nothing. Okay, topless, basically. Noah was topless. Blue jeans, I'm guessing meaning there was jeans on him, but no shoes. It's just the way it's written out. That's why it's annoying. What the hell is Noah doing with blue jeans? Have we ever seen Noah wear jeans? Have we ever heard the victim's family say, we need the jeans back, they're missing? Only the reference to the black shorts. And that's all the family wanted. Well, one of the items what they wanted and got. Never mentioned anything about jeans, and we've not seen any footage of Noah wearing them. But we have with other people, and we'll get to that later just for the discussion purposes. But what Xavier says here, no mention of Jasmine, no mention of who them are, they, right? Open to interpretation. Is that what Janaya Laurie did, as in by saying Jasmine's private Snapchat was at 4 in the morning? How would Janaya know when Xavier doesn't even mention it? Does Janaya know more than Xavier, or is Janaya Xavier? But if so, why didn't Janaya as Xavier mention Jasmine's private Snap claim, as in who's behind it then. The way I interpret it, basically, there's a chance that Xavier is a completely different person, whether they're genuine or not. Janaea is a separate individual. They've reposted it and re-quoted it in their own mind in what they believe it to be. That Janaea has interpreted what Xavier is referring to because of the time of 4 a.m. The next thing closest to that before was 3:41, so it must be Jasmine Milan then. There's no evidence to say that or show it. So you can say it's Janaea's opinion of what she believes it to be, what Xavier is talking about. But like with humans in general in life, they don't word as, in my opinion, what Xavier is saying here could well be Jasmine Milan's private snap, and that's why it's not visible anymore, or why it was disappeared, because it was deleted, right? You should have said, in my opinion, it could be Jasmine Milan's private snap. I think it's linked to Jasmine Milan, this, what Xavier is referring to. But no, the general public at times end up saying it as a fact. They may mean it as an opinion, as a theory, as an idea, but their wording and execution on paper or digitally, it doesn't translate very well. When they state it as an opinion, their wording is written down as a fact. You know, like when people in the past said, Jack Newton is the murderer, Jack Newton is the killer. How do you know? Well, it's just my opinion. Well, if it's just your opinion, make that clear instead of just saying, this is the situation. If you say, Jack Newton is the murderer, that makes it sound like a statement, a strong fact, whether it can be backed up or not. But if someone was trying to put it across as an opinion, you need to protect yourself and say, in my opinion, I think it could be Jack. The same way as they should have said here, in my opinion, I think Jasmine Milan's snap is what's linked to what Xavier's referring to. So I think it's two separate people. That's what I think, two separate people. And she has interpreted it a certain way based on her opinion, but how she words it, it sounds like a fact. And if it sounds like a fact, it implies that she knows more than others. Is she the same individual here? You wouldn't think so, because one person gives more details and a reference, the other one does not. But still, regardless, what's mentioned here is important. A snap of them losing Noah. Losing in what way? I mean, maybe the key word losing is what Janaea interpreted as Jasmine, because sorry, my word in my throat. Jasmine, I think I said Jamil or something. Jasmine Milan, in her 3:41 Snapchat post, said about Noah is missing and losing. It's kind of the same type of thing. The absence of someone. A person who you lose, whether that be down to your lack of care, whether it be down to not supervising someone, if it was of a child or if it was a pet, a dog, you've lost it, you've lost someone. But it can also apply to a fully grown individual that walks one way, you walk the other way, or you turn around and they've disappeared. You've lost someone. You've lost them in the moment, or if someone has died, you've lost them forever. In this case, you've lost them temporarily, or at least you thought you did. So they're basically missing. Missing from your side, missing from the location and area. So I think another term of interpretation would be when when Janaea was reading it as, I saw a snap of them losing Noah. Well, who was the other person to make the word or the reference close to losing, as in missing, and that's Jasmine Milan. So I think that's how Janaea came to that conclusion of Xavier must be talking about Jasmine Milan specifically. But even if it was Jasmine Milan, even if it was her snap, her video, Xavier says them, which means more than one person. And at around 3 a.m, that is an issue then. Around 3 a.m. is another link to what Jasmine Milan supposedly said to Caden Pressey when Caden Pressey told us, or in one of the interviews, that Jasmine originally said on the same day that Noah supposedly walked away between 2 to 3 a.m. And because it says 3 a.m. and losing Noah, and Jasmine used the term Noah's missing, that's why, yet another component as to why Janaea could interpret it as, oh, they must be talking about Jasmine Milan. But 3 a.m, Noah was already gone. By then, what about 30 minutes later when it was stated that that's when he walked away? Not 30 minutes earlier. That's a major issue in my opinion, right? Beside everything else. And then finding him at 4 a.m, I think we'll need to do a map analysis of this shortly. As for the comment section, on and off certain pages, I think it was on the on a separate one, but anyway, Michael Faceco says to Brenda, I'm just being more careful when posting names and blurring out Facebook profiles of people who are not directly involved in the case and are just trying to provide information. Too many people have been doxxed by individuals in these groups or attacked in other ways personally. But the thing is, it comes down to where it was posted originally 1 year ago. What page? What post? Was it a public page? Was it a public group? Because if it was, or if it was away from Facebook on a different page or a different platform and it's public, what's public is public. So by trying to censor or hide them, it's pointless because it was their own consent in the first place to go public and to post public. I would say the times when you should be blanking out names and profile pictures, specifically protecting someone's privacy, is if they have requested, and more so, if the conversation or them reaching out to you with this information was done privately, one-on-one in the background. Because the moment it's in a group situation, and I don't mean a group chat, that's still private, but a group situation on a page, a forum, it could be a gated community, but it's semi-public. For as long as anyone's welcomed into that page, then it's accessible. Some are more tight and restricted than others, but I tend to think something private like conversations, messages, DMs, personal messages, very small group chats. That's where it should be blurred and censored and privacy respected. The moment you put yourself out there online, it's public, you've consented to that, or you'd hope to think that that's what they've done. So by trying to blur them out after that, it's just stupid. Just like how it was in the early days when everywhere, and even on Reddit, people thought there was a need to blur out full names of party goers. And these party goers and names and references were already public in the first place. But people thought, we must abide by rules, we must blur this out and blank that out. It's just not needed, right? If it's public in the first place, it doesn't need to be censored. If it's not public in the first place and it's heavily privatized, then it should be censored when made public if there's a request to do so. That's how it should be. It's very simple, right? Brenda's response. The screenshot I shared is a comment in the thread of another post on this page. This subject has been discussed and posted before, last year, I think. Do you remember what the outcome was? Wasn't it debunked that Jasmine Milan took the alleged snap? As for people being doxxed, I'm fully aware I've been doxxed. Trust me, I know. Well, you know what? In terms of experience, the one time I was accused of doxing someone was some random ginger-haired, unstable individual online that had a ginger cat and accused Warlight Raf for doxing her ginger cat's location. Did I give a location? No. What did I actually say? I read out a comment from their channel saying, "Ooh, Daddy's coming round for tea time. Let's get the ginger cat round the tea table and enjoy some drinks." Don't worry, that really did happen, and it is documented on my channel. It's absolutely ridiculous, but that's what I deal with online. Beside that, in another conversation, Brenda said, for over 2 years, Noah Presgrove. So this is specifically the comment section from this post by Siobhan, okay? And that comment, the screenshot by, I keep forgetting the name because it's not exactly memorable to me, Janaea, right? That's what it's all to do with. And that's a separate one. Brenda, for over 2 years, Noah Presgrove's family has been pleading for information. Now, all of a sudden, someone grows a conscience and is saying they saw the same alleged snap as Xavier did. And Siobhan, and they are anonymous, and instead of going to Noah's family first, they went to Michael. Brenda, if any of it is true, They should have contacted Ellie and Noah's family, for sure, not give it to a stranger to blast on Facebook. I can't wrap my head around that process. Right, so Brenda is interpreting it, or questioning, that Xavier is one individual and this Janaea is a secondary person, and both saw the same thing. But in my opinion, what's mentioned here by Xavier and what's mentioned here as a repost by Janaea, it's the same thing written up. And whilst it's blurred out originally by Michael, it shows a pinkish or purple profile picture, which is the same one there. So Xavier here is Xavier there. But the person posting about it is another individual that's reposting Xavier's comment. That's all it is. So I think, Brenda, Janaea is separate to Xavier. But what Xavier is saying, Janaea did not witness firsthand. What Janaea is stating by Jasmine's private Snapchat 4 a.m. is a reference to what she believes and thinks, interpreting Xavier's wording, keywords such as losing him and 3 a.m. Key things which Jasmine Milan talked about, or there was references to by the hands of others like Caden Pressey. So that's what I think. Hopefully it makes sense to people. But what else? If any of this is true, they should contact. Yes. And then we got the Snapchat contradiction here by Andrea Chuprov, I think. Well, maybe not. It might be from Andrea's point of view. Anyway. So what's this whole Snapchat contradiction? Another witness has come forwards, and what they describe changes the entire timeline. According to this post, there was a snap around 4 a.m, allegedly showing Noah lying in the dirt road before he died. The witness says the snap was deleted and Noah was wearing no shirt, blue jeans and no shoes. But here's the problem. That same person, Jasmine Milan, posted a Snapchat at 3:41 a.m. saying Noah was missing. How does that make sense? How could she be posting about him missing at 3:41 and then have a video of him being found at 4 a.m? Well, my question is, how do we know that it's to do with Jasmine in the first place? Oh, because of what Janaea said. As I said, I believe Janaea is giving an opinion, but how she wrote it out, captioned, stated as a fact. And when people interpret it as a fact, they may think, oh, well, Janaea must be correct, or that Janaea knows more, or that Janaea is secretly Xavier. So we'll just nod our heads and believe that it is Jasmine that's behind it, as in this deleted snap. And if it's Jasmine behind it, at 3 a.m. responsible, then why afterwards did this do what they did? Well, 3 a.m. losing Noah, and then 41 minutes later then saying Noah's missing, but then 19 minutes or so after 3:41 then finding Noah. It makes no sense. Well, this is the thing, and I'll break it down bit by bit. Not based on reality, not based on common sense, but based on how it's interpreted here, just to make sense of it if any of it was true. If it was true that this claim of a deleted Snapchat at around 4 a.m. was by Jasmine Milan, and that earlier Jasmine Milan did a snap about Noah being missing, as in 3:41, then how does that make sense? Well, 3:41 is before 4 a.m, correct? And when referring to the original claim here, that party goers lost Noah at 3 a.m, then they found him at 4 a.m. So between 3 a.m. to 4 a.m, at 3:41, Jasmine Milan did her snap, as you see there. Well, Noah is missing. Between 3 to 3:41, it took 41 minutes to realise that Noah's missing. Is that the situation? As I said, there's already a contradiction. The fact that it's being suggested that it was 3 a.m. in general when people lost Noah. When what Jack said and everyone else has said since, it was 3:30 when Noah had walked away. Not before, not earlier, but 3:30. Yeah, it's been interpreted as 3 in the morning. If on a separate timeline it was to be true, and that 41 minutes later it led to Jasmine going outside doing a little post, Noah's missing, and then at what point sparking a search to be conducted? Well, referring back to this one, that they found him around 4 in the morning. So 3:41, realization or the feeling of, well, Noah's missing because he's not come back yet. Then shortly after 3:41, doing a search out there. Around 4 in the morning, finding Noah. Even if that's all false and a false story, you can't say, based on that order, you can't say it's a contradiction. Normally, a contradiction is when two things coexist at the same time, but it's just not possible because they overlap one another, they go against one another. I'll give you an example. You could say a man was caught on camera in Paris, France, at 8 in the morning. But that same individual was caught on camera in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, at the same time, 8 in the morning. How can you get the same person in two different places at the same time? It's not possible. One must be right, the other one must be wrong. Sometimes both can be wrong and it's misunderstood completely. But, two opposites, two overlapping things, events, involving the same person, involving the possible same time, but different stuff going on at the same exact time, that's what a contradiction is. Or, a contradiction can be you say or you do one thing and then abruptly afterwards you do the complete opposite. Two extremes, two opposites that don't gel together. Overlaps and opposites. Whether it happens all at the same time or one after the other, that's what a contradiction is. If you was to say at 4 in the morning is when they found Noah, and you also said at 4 in the morning is when Noah was missing or that Noah walked away, it doesn't quite make as much sense. But if you're saying how earlier on Noah was lost, then it was announced in some way casually. And then after they went out searching and then they found him, that's not a contradiction because you're not really comparing it to anything else, right? And it's not overlapping with one another. It follows a certain order. It's a timeline. It might be an incorrect one, but it just has a certain flow to it, which can make sense. But is it true? I don't think so. So that's the way I see it. I mean, originally, from what we've heard, 3:30 is when Noah walked away. 10, 11 minutes later, Jasmine went outside, made a post about it. Then around 4 in the morning when a search was done, or close to. That might be the only thing that's links on with her, how people did say at 4 in the morning it stood out. Now, you could say there is a contradiction though, but guess what? It's not made clear by people, but don't worry, catalyst like Raf, who supposedly retired, still technically is because I am no longer a catalyst in life, but you can make a case, you can make an argument, and this is what I do to maintain that balance. If you're saying around 4 in the morning is when people went out searching and found Noah, supposedly, it contradicts with what we've been told, which was originally private, which was then shared public, to do with BBC saying, well, at 4:15 to 4:20, certain partygoers out were searching for Noah. And in between that time as well, other partygoers returned back to the house, unsuccessful. So 4 in the morning onwards, a search was done, but they didn't find Noah. And yet these claims are that Noah was found around 4 on the dirt road. If Noah was found alive around on the dirt road, then why would others and people from the dark side be saying, well, around that time onwards, they were still searching and unsuccessful? Either you found him at 4 in the morning or you didn't. So there is a contradiction there of things not quite overlapping, but one extreme to another. The extreme of you find Noah at 4 in the morning when a search is conducted, and then the extreme of a bit later, you're still searching and you haven't found him. Either you found him or you hadn't. One or the other. You can't have it both ways. Unless the argument was, well, some people went out, found Noah, finished him off or moved him on, and then the other group went out, as in friends, and didn't find him, didn't know he was there, and carried on searching blind. So it can get very deep. I just want to give you the different interpretations. And you know what? I think we'll do a map analysis very shortly, because I think it's needed visually besides all the words and text on screen. However, we're not finished yet, because some other theme, and it's different, but it ties in with the concept of blue jeans, which is weird, because let's not forget that. What's this whole thing about blue jeans? We never heard that ever mentioned before, as in no shoes whatsoever. That's a bit of a contradiction to what we've been told and what we've heard ever since by many people, that mismatched shoes were found on Noah, at least. And here it's saying no shoes. So what? Shoes were added onto Noah, right? It's weird. But, you know, this thing about Noah lying in the dirt road before he died, meaning that they found Noah outside, but he wasn't dead. It wasn't as dark. It doesn't show murder or anything like that. But then it's like, well, then what happened after that time? Aubrey Turner said, because Caden Pressey is not on tape, he is innocent. They are not. But who's they? This is what I mean. I wish people would use names and say, simple. What's on the tape? The monster spawns finishing Noah off after they ran him over with the side-by-side, moving him several times, removing his jeans. Jeans? Putting his black shorts from the bathroom floor back on him. 4 grown-ass men stringing him up and power washing him. They are all monsters. But hey, orange is their colour, right? Is that reference to prison? But to say that they were stringing him up, where? On a tree? So, different event or cause of death, right? But just a mention of putting jeans on. Now, when Noah Presgrove was found, he was not found wearing jeans. I mean, you know, if Noah was found wearing jeans, what Aubrey says here about... Well, no, hold on, let me just rewind that back, because I'm dealing with such incompetence with humans, it's impacting my brain for a second. Removing the jeans, that Noah was already wearing them, putting his black shorts from the bathroom. So, okay, shower situation, takes black shorts off, naked afterwards, needs to borrow or use clothes. So Noah put on his jeans. Now, we've not seen any footage around the side-by-side rollover afterwards. The last footage or photo what we saw was supposedly 1:50 in the morning of Noah in the bathroom, and he was wearing black shorts. We don't know what he was wearing after that point. There were claims from one side that he was wearing white shorts borrowed from Jack, which I've not seen the footage too, and I've not seen it clear either. If there is footage out there, well, then it would go against this here about the jeans and counter it. If there's hard evidence out there after 1:50 of Noah, also after the shower, putting on jeans because he didn't have any more shorts, then fine. But who are those jeans? Was it his? Was it someone else's? Was he borrowing someone else's jeans? And if so, how come no one acknowledged it or made reference? All they've said is Noah was borrowing Jack's white wrestling shorts, not jeans. So there's a bit of a contrast there. But what if any of this was true, why would they be removing... Well, it says removing his jeans, implying it's a possessive item, but it was Noah's jeans. If it was Noah's jeans, there's no point taking them off to then put on Noah's black shorts. If Noah was borrowing someone's jeans and you took them off to put back on Noah's clothing, that would make more sense. You're removing someone else's clothing which Noah borrowed, so then it doesn't fall back on you. So you or someone you're looking out for doesn't get questioned, and DNA as well. Fully understandable. But Aubrey has already put themselves in a bit of a mess by saying, supposedly what happened, that Noah's jeans were removed, that Noah's black shorts were put on him. But Noah was found naked at the highway, and all that was found by majority of witnesses were white shorts in the middle of the road. It's only Caden Pressey that made the reference to black shorts, yet this Aubrey is very adamant on the black shorts story too. And some people have interpreted that Aubrey Turner is secretly Alicia Lee, also known as Alicia Pressey, Caden's mom. Do I believe that? Well, it doesn't mention anything about anyone lying as for keywords like that, so I can't see the slip of the tongue there to interpret someone's character or personality shown through an alternative account. It could well be a different person who's just a Team Caden Pressey supporter, or was at the time, which is fair enough. But were they there though at the time? Likely not. So how do they know about it all? But by saying Caden Pressey is not on tape, it sounds like the defending Caden doesn't say my son or my loved one, so it's not quite clear as to who Aubrey is to Caden. May just be a general public stranger supporter in that set, or could secretly be the mother under a different account, trying to spread a false narrative, or at some point did. But I just think it's a complete mess, this, the whole genes situation. However, like how it mentioned by Xavier, that Noah was found at 4 a.m, roughly, laying on the dirt road, dead or alive, conscious or unconscious, semi-conscious, and was wearing at least blue jeans, and that was it. Only blue jeans. And how does that link? Finishing Noah off after they ran him over with the side-by-side. So what? They went out at 4 a.m, found Noah unconscious or passed out, then decided to get the side-by-side, finish him off that way, then removed the jeans. It just seems a bit unusual in a way. I mean, as for the whole jeans talk, Noah wearing black shorts here at 1:50 supposedly on the Monday. Jack Newton on the right, you see, wearing jeans. For a clearer example, unrelated to the party, here's Jack wearing jeans, which is similar to what he was wearing at the party, which is blue and with the belt as well. Okay? There you go here, from Caden's point of view, Sunday night. Jack in the background with the orange cap, wearing jeans. You can see it. I know it's not the clears, but they are jeans. Not shorts, but jeans. Noah Presgrove wearing black shorts. Caden Pressey wearing jeans, unrelated to the party, but as an example. At the party, you can see Caden Pressey wearing what appears to be jeans, blue. When it came to Brylan Sweat wearing jeans, which is also linked to this one of Caden on the left with the Hey Dude shoes wearing jeans, and then besides Georgia, bottom right, with the shoe and the trouser leg, jeans, which belongs, the leg, to Brylan Sweat. Ticking it off the list as we go along. But the theme of jeans are, we see other partygoers wearing them, we never see Noah Presgrove wearing jeans. So it could imply that if Noah did wear jeans, he borrowed them from someone. But to tie it in with making sense of the theory or claim by Aubrey, she would have counted herself there, because if Noah was to borrow somebody else's jeans, it would make sense as to, if there was foul play, why some would want to remove those jeans because they belong to the killer or they belong to a person of interest and they don't want it tracing or tracking back. Yet Aubrey says they took off his jeans, as in Noah's jeans, to then put on Noah's shorts. The time when you tamper with a body, you tamper with evidence, is when you're removing a piece and you replace it with something else so it doesn't look too obvious. You might take away black shorts and replace it with other black shorts, but somebody else's or something else, either to cause misdirection or to get someone else to be blamed, planting evidence or removing evidence to hide the real story. Maybe, well, to be honest, the only other way you could interpret it, because I've got to be fair, if Noah had died whilst wearing blue jeans, regardless of who they were, if it was Noah's own jeans and he was wearing them at the time when he died, but maybe they took him off and put on Noah's own shorts, so it still was a personal possession to Noah, so it was relatable and it didn't look odd or stand out. And maybe the last known footage was of Noah in black shorts, so it would be more believable to say, well, the first and last time we see him, he's wearing the black shorts. Nothing out of the ordinary. As for the jeans, they get forgotten about. Why would you take one person's possessions and replace them with another person's personal possessions? Because at the time of what they were wearing when they died, touch-based DNA by the killer, by the handler, by someone involved in the foul play. So that by taking off those blue jeans, it gets rid of that touch-based DNA and evidence. By adding on the black shorts were last worn before Noah died, before Noah walked away. Noah was last wearing the black shorts during an innocent moment. So the last known memory of those shorts won't hold any darkness or DNA of it at the time of the death, because the jeans did. And if the jeans are taken away, that's an act of tampering with evidence to cover for yourself, even if it's not your own item. So that's the alternative, okay? So it still makes it valid and possible there, but do we actually have any hard evidence of any of this, though? Like, any hard evidence? We don't. So you still got to be careful when it comes to just listening and reading. For some of you, it might be a lot to process these additional times and these contradictions and overflows and overlaps. I'm going to simplify it to you right now visually. For most part of it, what we've heard over and over again is 3:30 when Noah left, heading east. Jack Newton said that in his interview with Partners in True Crime. It's been talked about publicly online in communication and discussions over and over again, and most people have accepted it's 3:30 when Noah walked away. But Xavier, 1 year ago, some random individual online is claiming that the party goers lost Noah at 3 a.m, 30 minutes earlier from what's been stated since. How true is that? It sounds hard to believe, because if we had the hard evidence of the timing of the shower, the timing of the teabagging and stuff like that, then we could probably debunk it quick, but we don't. What we do have is Caden Pressey said at one point in the past, I think it was through an interview, and I've done a map analysis of it as well, but Caden said Jasmine Millan told him on the day a bit later that between 2 to 3 in the morning, Noah Presgrove walked off. Did he come back? It wasn't mentioned. So it could be interpreted that maybe Noah did walk away between 2 to 3 in the morning, return back, and then 30 minutes later walked away again, but did not return. Or the other interpretation was Jasmine was giving a rough estimate between 2 to 3 in the morning, at the latest 3 in the morning, when Noah walked away for good. Yet Jack says it was 30 minutes later at 3:30. Maybe Jasmine was talking about the same event as what Jack was referring to, they just got the times wrong. One was an estimate, as in Jasmine, the other one by Jack was specific. More truth behind it, possibly. So there's that. Is there a problem, though, if Noah walked away at 3 in the morning? Well, if Noah walked away at 3 in the morning, if Noah walked away at 3:30 in the morning, it doesn't seem to change the timing of when the search was actually conducted, because Xavier says they went out around 4 in the morning and found Noah on the dirt road. Other people from the dark side and onwards have said, well, around 4 in the morning is when a search was conducted, but it yielded no results. So the timing of going out searching isn't impacted by the time of when Noah did walk away. Okay? So that doesn't seem to change. The 3:41 snap doesn't seem to change either, as in that's just the time of when an announcement was made in a light-hearted way, Noah's missing. And then a bit later, I guess it got a bit more serious, as in, well, not found anything, no results, what's going on? Maybe a search should be done just to check if he is okay, right? And that's why we got these timestamps which we've seen since, which I think might have been between BBC and Michael Facecas. At 4:22 in the morning, Carter Combs, Logan Jernigan and Jasmine returned back to the house after searching, unsuccessful in finding Noah. And that the phone pings of Avery and Brylan were between 4:15 and 5:20 at the Sand Plank Crossing, which is before and behind where Noah was to be found later, further up that way. So these searches done by these said individuals, unsuccessful in finding Noah's body, yet Xavier said that there was a snap, a video by whoever and a group of friends that 4 in the morning found Noah on the dirt road somewhere down here. Now, that comment what we saw by Aubrey or whoever they are, I wasn't linking it directly to Xavier's claim. That was just to do with the jeans, trying to understand the clothing there. In terms of what Xavier was referring to as in a snap of Noah being found flat out on the dirt road, no mention of injury, no mention of death or being alive, so it's open to interpretation. Is it possible that after the bedroom debacle, Noah Presgrove was wearing some form of clothing? Maybe it wasn't the jeans, it could have been shorts, no shoes, even though it has been worded that, Noah was found with mismatched shoes at the highway, and that before Noah had left, Noah was putting on shoes. So where did he end up going? That bit is a bit stupid, to be honest, but just trying to make any sense out of it, that what Xavier is talking about doesn't have to be interpreted as a bad thing or a dark situation. But if it's no big deal, then why 15 minutes later was Avery and Bryland searching for Noah and unaware that Noah was outside of the party house when they would have walked by that? Either they saw Noah or they didn't. And if they're out searching, they didn't see him. And if they get back, they didn't see him. They weren't successful. So these events and these timestamps will contradict and conflict with Xavier's comment from 1 year ago. But the thing is, it's an old comment. It's an old claim. It's not been challenged since. There's not been a follow-up since. So it could well be just a random person talking about it. As said, there might be more truth to the shower witnesses to the video than there is with Xavier, because with Xavier, that was just to do with one person, one claim about a certain event, and it's not been brought up or backed up by other independent people. Whereas the shower, individual people have come up and come forwards about that and spread over time too. So it's a really interesting dynamic, right? Look, if Noah Presgrove had gone missing, because I've got to incorporate the difference between walking away at 3 a.m. and possibly dying or passing out on the dirt road, and then 30 minutes later, at the actual timing of when the search was done or conducted and when they found Noah, as it's claimed, 4 a.m. So if Noah walked away at 3 and shortly passed away or passed out down the dirt road, 3 to 4, that's 1 hour time difference. If it was 3:30 when Noah walked away and passed out or passed away on the dirt road, from that time till when the search was done, that's only 30 minutes. 30 minutes, an hour, there's a big difference between them, right? An extra 30 minutes, an extra 30 minutes of being unconscious, an extra 30 minutes of sleeping, an extra 30 minutes of, dying or dead or dying slowly, depending on how you interpret it. The claims don't imply foul play, they don't directly imply murder, just that Noah was flat out on the dirt road, just like how people claim in the shower, Noah's flat out there too. But was he dead? Was he alive? People don't seem to add on with that. Was he injured? Yes or no? People don't seem to add on with that. So people have a bit of a clear, specific memory of what they saw or witnessed, but the really crucial details they don't have the answers to, or they just don't want to say because maybe it won't add on with their narrative, what they're trying to get at. It's very problematic. Something like this can be so deep. Something like this should have come out earlier. And technically it did, because it was 1 year ago. But I'll be honest with you, I was completely unaware of it. So I couldn't do a video about it. Oh, well, you should be looking. You should be researching. Look, I came in at a later point in 2024. So I might have been late to the party. And I didn't see it reposted at that time. But it's only been, reposted recently? So it's only come back into discussion. So I'm reacting to it raw, doing an analysis of it raw, all in the moment. But in some ways, it's probably the right time for it to come out or to be brought back up for me to do it for the first time, because I've got more material now to work with and claims and timestamps and stuff which do contradict. If we're talking about a contradiction of 3:41 saying Noah's missing and then 4 a.m. finding him, that's not a contradiction. That's just an order of events. No contradiction there. But if you're saying 4 a.m. is when Partygoers found Noah, dead or alive, they found him. But then why at 4:22 and 4:15 to 4:20, these said individuals or similar individuals were still looking for Noah? If you found him at 4 in the morning, you wouldn't need to go out searching any further or any longer. But that's what they did. So it seems more likely that they hadn't found Noah at that point. Yes, you could say there's an alternative, which I'll just acknowledge right now. So the only other way you could possibly interpret it as in, if they did go out searching and if they did find Noah, but then they moved him on or did something suspicious or foul play, continued on searching, purposely having their phone pinging in appropriate areas, but no further, because they got someone else to move the body on further without the phone's present so it didn't ping, but continue on searching. Why did you do any of that? Or, as other people said as a question, if you're responsible for someone's death or disposing of, why would you then go out searching for the person if you know what's happened and you know where they are at? Why? Well, it's very simple. Not that it did happen in this case, because it's just a theory, an idea. But the reason why you could go out searching is to appear as if you care. And in some ways, that did apply to the Dylan Rounds case. The murderer, James Brenner, did what they did on the 28th. The day later, when the victim's mother called James Brenner's friend, Don, as in, have you seen Dylan? Can you go out searching, see if he's there, see if he's okay? Has he been caught in a farming-related incident? Could it be worse? Can you have a look? Supposedly a search was done. Others say it wasn't, but let's just say, from what others say, it did happen. But when Don went out searching, Don wanted his friend Brenner to assist as well. And that's supposedly what happened. For Brenner to do that, the killer, the murderer, the one responsible, the one that also temporarily disposed of the body and so on, to go out searching, you could interpret that as appearing as if you care, appearing willing, appearing as in, yes, you will do it because it's the right thing to do. Well, if you're the killer, if you're responsible, you want to keep a low profile, right? Oh, what a low profile means not doing anything, hiding away. Being quiet, too uncooperative can make you look more suspicious. So sometimes to blend in, you have to remain close to the body. You have to remain close to the scene and the case and the investigation, not just to listen in, but to also assist and appear helpful and appear as if you care and show a level of emotion, or try and keep normal as how you would normally. You know, you might not like the person, you might have taken them out for a certain reason, but if you don't show care, you don't show interest, you don't show cooperation, you're going to get caught out maybe pretty quick and questioned. So if you try and blend in, you blend in by appearing caring and trying to help. Not too much, but enough so it doesn't get questioned. Same could have happened in the Noah Presgrove case if you want to interpret it that way. I don't think there's enough evidence to show or suggest that, but, you know, just wanted to add it in. This whole situation is messy. Should it have been done earlier? Could have been, but there would have been less material to work with. But for other people that knew about it or came across it, it's not been reposted or talked about since, so it could imply, was it that big of a deal? If it wasn't talked about endlessly as other things are. The whole mention of blue jeans is really unusual because never been mentioned before. And for Aubrey to say his jeans, as in Noah's, if that was true, well, the victim's family has never mentioned anything about blue jeans, and that Noah Presgrove, there was no footage of him ever wearing jeans at the party. Could he have borrowed somebody else's jeans? Maybe, but we don't know. And Aubrey didn't word it as borrowed, so there's no evidence to work off from that. It's just words by people online, and that can be a problem. But to try and make some sense of everything, hopefully this video did clear it up. And if you found the video somewhat interesting, be sure to hit the thumbs up, share the video, feel free to hit the hype button as well. Make sure you don't miss out on the previous videos that I've done on the Kenny Veach case, extremely important, and I still need to continue with that to try and revive stuff and in some ways revive this channel, because statistically that hunger just isn't there. But with the Kenny Veach case, it seems to be coming back a little bit, so we'll take that into consideration. But yeah, thanks for watching. My name's Wally Raff. Goodbye. Good night for now.